Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about why webcomics end suddenly. Having worked on a webcomic that was fairly popular for a number of years. It was pretty popular. People are like, why'd you quit? Why'd you just kind of stop? Well, we didn't just stop suddenly. There were things that led up to stopping, but this article was posted today.
It's so funny.
On hard drive, and actually Squid King found it, and he's like, oh my god, this is like one of the best things they've ever done.
He grew up watching us do this webcomic. We started it in 2010 when he was little. And he grew up watching us do this and watched all the crap we took and all the stuff that happened. So he immediately came to show us because he knew we'd appreciate every word.
Yeah, because it's 100% true.
Yes.
And the best parody has a kernel of truth. So we're going to talk about this, and if you're interested in webcomics, or why your favorite webcomic ended suddenly,
or if you do webcomics and you're going to get this completely,
you're going to get this. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 276,000 subs.
Woo!
Thank you for the support. Speaking of comics, speaking of webcomics, speaking of support, over $83,000 on Crimson Wren Volume 1.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So this book is going to get made after 10 years, and we had actually considered briefly putting some of it online back in the day as a webcomic.
You didn't have time to do any more work. You were doing like 3 full color pages of the other one, and it was killing you.
And we realized back then that there's no way in hell we can do more for free. And that is kind of the crux of what's going on here. So let's talk about this parody but not quite article from Hard Drive. Selfish webcomic artist takes break. Toronto, because Canada. Freelance artist and full-time barista Camille Brown provoked the ire of her devoted fans after selfishly announcing she is putting her wildly popular webcomic Loamy Lovers on a brief hiatus. Hey everyone, long story short, I'll be taking a few weeks off before starting the next chapter to get some much needed rest, wrote Brown, devastating fans who have been following her comic for the past 11 years with an utterly self-indulgent post. I'd like to thank everyone for their support, especially for all the kind responses to the latest chapter. I was really nervous about it, so it felt really good to read all your comments, she continued, manipulatively trying to divert attention away from her self-centered actions.
I will give Hard Drive credit because the way they're writing these posts, quote unquote, are very right on. Like, that's exactly how they sound.
I am going to pull up a real world example of this. It's a little confusing. Why does she need a break from her passion project? It's not like it's work, said a heartbroken Christophe Detroux, still nursing the wound that Brown left when she reduced her update schedule from 3 new pages a week to 2 pages a week. Not only that, but she posted some art of characters I don't even recognize on Twitter today, so clearly she has time to work on the thing we actually care about. It feels deeply unprofessional. Deeply unprofessional that she's not giving us free shit. I'm going to have to rethink my superfan $1 Patreon subscription. God, this is so much what happened to us.
So it was funny because we did this. You went from 3 full color pages,
which freaking killed me,
and a full-time job, and we had 2 very small children. Okay. And he did that, and then we had to pull back to 2 because you couldn't do it because you weren't sleeping.
I was also having back issues, and my hand was going
heart
numb.
issues,
and heart issues, and weight issues because all I did was sit in a damn chair, freaking 20 hours a day between my day job and the comic.
That's kind of what I do now, but and then you said, well, if we can switch to black and white, if you guys let us switch to black and white, then that'd be great because I can do more pages because it's coloring. I mean, it would take you 14 hours a page.
Oh my God.
I'm like, coloring is a big part of it. It takes a lot longer. If I was just doing the drawing, it's fine. No, that's not okay with us. We want the full color pages. I'm not kidding you. This is what happened. And they were so pissed. And if you didn't deliver on time, if you were late, where's the page? Why isn't it on time? Why aren't you on schedule? True stories.
Yeah, and then we would route, but we'll talk more about. Let's get through this. This is
I'm sorry.
No,
I derailed it.
No, it's fine because this is just bringing back old memories.
Remind me to talk about Patreon when we're done with this. Go ahead.
Yeah, Brown's questionable decision made waves in the artist community as well. Many artists have since come forward expressing admiration for her. I really respect Camille's decision to prioritize herself and well-being, said Delima Kwan, who explained how people understandably showed up at their house the last time they missed an update to their critically acclaimed webcomic Creature feature. I've been thinking about taking a break to give my wrists some time to rest, but I really depend on the $500 a month that my comics Patreon brings in, and I'm worried people will unsubscribe.
Oh my God, I love this.
As of writing, Quan and Creature Feature are lucky to have over 100,000 devoted followers on Twitter who depend on their consistent Monday, Wednesday, Friday update schedule. Brown was unavailable for comment at press time, having supposedly been called into work on her day off.
It's funny, though. We had more than 100,000 readers.
Oh, my God.
And it was... Anyway, Patreon. So it was funny. Like when Patreon started and it, you know, we were going to use it and we talked about it and I said about stuff at Patreon and people, and this is legitimate comments. People were like, I only have a few dollars a month and I only give it to so many creators and you're not one of them, but I still read your comic and I still want updates.
Yes. Yes, they would. And we noticed a change. Like when we first started, it was about 2009, 2010. People were thankful just to have a free comic. And look, I admit, like, you know, the early Shadowbinder stuff especially was
It's rough.
Because that's what I had time to do. And it was my attitude then was like, well, at this point, it's just a webcomic, so you get what you get. And that's all I could do, you know, and keep the update schedule. And, you know, it never looked the way I wanted it to, which thankfully now we're prioritizing making money. We can change that. But, yeah, I mean, we would get these weird comments. And then it was about 2013, 2014 that I started noticing a change in the attitude. It became more demanding.
Yeah, why isn't my free up to the caliber I think it should be?
Yes.
There's a lot of other comics I could read instead of yours. And they put their pages out on time. They might be like making no money and miserable, just like you, but they put their pages out on time and I want more free. And you think I'm kidding? I'm being completely serious. Actually, the only time I saw a difference was when it was on Webtoons. People were they're a lot kinder, a lot more positive, I think, on Webtoons than they were when we were putting it up on our own site.
Yeah, Webtoon, that crowd is a little bit different. I would say the worst of Tumblr basically started creeping onto webcomics in like 2012, 2013. And that kind of led to, and I'm going to go out here and I'm going to go to the Meek, which is the first thing that came to mind because I remember when the Artist of the Meek took off.
I do remember
for health reasons or personal reasons, and people spent years bitching on her last update that she wasn't giving people free updates. A lot of people up and quit
and took on better paying jobs. People were pissed because they didn't do free anymore. It's not just this person, but I've seen it several times.
Yeah, so you know, she's here on this is from 2016. Basically saying, hey, I'm doing the Kickstarter. I've got day job stuff going on. I got personal stuff going on. I'm trying to do 21 comic updates this month or whatever. Free comics, guys. Free comics. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. That's too many updates and yet not enough. Here comes one of these people. Applying my translator software, I see that 21 actually means 4. I've never had an issue with the update schedule, but it annoys me when people make unrealistic promises. It locks you into a pattern of constantly having to apologize. Well, I didn't make my goal this month, but next month I'll do 40 updates. Overall, I think it increases the stress on the artist and eventually causes them to quit.
Yes.
People like you cause them to quit. Be fair to yourself about how much you can do. And then don't promise anymore. Shut up, David. This is the answer. David, you can check out my public post on my Patreon page. I've been meeting or exceeding my monthly goals since I started my Patreon in late 2015, July 2015. And this year I started posting visual receipts. This is pretty sad. You have to show. I started posting visual receipts to show that info as well. June was the first month I wasn't able to deliver in a serious way. And also the first month I have taken time off in over 2 years. Now, here's the thing that pisses me off about, and we've talked about Patreon before. Patreon originally was supposed to be a tip jar for work people were already doing. Mm-hmm. What happens with webcomics is the webcomic is always supposed to be free. And if you want people to pay you, you have to do more.
You have to give them more.
You have to give them more.
We don't do Patreon.
No.
Because we don't have time to give you bonus stuff. We just don't have time. We barely have time to do the stuff we need to do now.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, this is a mild one. But they came after her for years. I remember, like, I would check to see if she was updating. She hadn't been updating in a while. And she had some personal stuff going on. She had some health problems, I think. And really, frankly, at the end of the day, she doesn't really owe anybody an explanation as to why she's not posting her comics for free on the internet anymore. Mm-hmm. But people were dogpiling her. There was like 1,000 comments. People were like, where the hell are my updates? Where are my updates? Where are my updates? Like, This is why we quit.
Well, that and the amount of money we were spending.
The amount of money we're spending. Okay, so...
Because you don't just get people to your page because you put it there.
No, so there used to be a thing called Project Wonderful, which actually was pretty wonderful for finding other webcomics, and it was a system that worked and is about, promoting your webcomic on other people's sites, because everybody at that point in time, before Webtoon and Tapastic and all that, most everybody had their own self-hosted site. And the system worked pretty well, and it made sure that people could promote and get people to other sites. Well, then along came Hiveworks.
I was gonna say until Hiveworks came.
Fucking Hiveworks! I have so much not nice.
Not the
things,
people on it, not the artist
the guy
on it, the person that ran it. Oh, is it a guy now?
I don't
even know.
know. I don't.
The person who ran it was the problem.
Them destroyed Project Wonderful by running the bids up. They ran the bids up so high that nobody else could compete with them. They would literally run the bids up to like $999 and then brag about how they were running all the other artists and creators out of the space. And so basically, if you didn't join Hiveworks...
Well, they also did this thing where somebody had... It used to be like, it was honor system. If you had like an ad sitting there for like $30, you basically would wait until they were done running, then you'd run yours. What they started doing was they'd run it to 29.90 cents, $29.99 or whatever, to burn you out of money. Yep. So they took it over. It ended up being so bad. And before people are like, you're just making this up. Oh, no. The people from Project Wonderful actually talked to us about it. And we had phone calls.
I had a phone call with, I didn't talk to, now Ryan North is writing Marvel Comics now and stuff. He basically gave up on Project Wonderful. And if I had known he was going to do that, I would have tried to buy it off of him or something. But so he noped out because the whole thing imploded because of Hiveworks.
But we got calls, and they basically told us that it had become a problem because everybody started doing that to each other, and it was a problem, and it was all because of that. Anyway, they were aware of.
They were aware of.
But we spent so much money that we got audited by the IRS. Because they're like, how did you spend like this many thousands of dollars on advertising? And it's like, well, when we had to show them. Because not only were you working and giving out free comics, not only were you, and you only got paid for ad revenue if people, came, and then they started using ad blockers. So they weren't even paying you for that. So not only did you not get that, then they turned around and you had to pay to be found to begin with. So you had to pay a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, why you're literally paying for people to read your comic for free and complain about it.
So you were burning the candle at both ends, paying out the nose to get people there, hoping that they would turn around later after you've already given them the work, hoping that later they would maybe buy a copy of your comic. And as it turned out, we realized that 95% of the people that bought the Shadowbinders book never read Shadowbinders online. Mm-mm. So it's like, why the hell are we putting it online if the people that are reading it for free are not buying the books anyway? Because where we're making most of our money is in book sales, And so basically, you are a street musician at that point in time. You're on the street corner, hoping somebody's going to give you some change or whatever. But then no, they're not. They're going to save their money and they're going to go download, Post Malone's new album or something. Pay for that. But they're not going to pay for you.
Right.
And that's basically what
they'll tell you, I like you. I read you every day, every time you put an update. But I like these three ones better, and I'm only giving them money. Yeah. They would flat out tell you that to your face. So
and people just they got ruder and ruder and ruder. And I don't think people that are doing webtoons right now that are in that ecosystem understand how good they have it.
It wasn't, it's not like that. Over there, it's much more positive than it was.
Even the money is better. Like, they had, now I don't know what the deal is now, but they actually would give you money in your Patreon or give you ad revenue or something like that. Whereas before, you were completely on your own. You had to get your own ad network. You had to, pimp your Patreon. You had to do all this other stuff. And it just gets to a point where, it is a breaking point. We actually were doing better than a lot of people. We were making ad revenue off of it. We were selling.
But all our ad revenue, we pretty much spent back on.
We'd recycle it right back into promotion. So it becomes this vicious circle. But yeah. There are articles out there talking about how webcomics make money. It always comes down to book sales. Book sales, merchandise sales. You got to sell something. You have to sell something. You give it away for free. You can give a little bit away, but you give it all away, you're better off.
Why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free?
Literally that. I mean, that's the thing. You're better off having 1,200 people buying a copy of your book than you're having 100,000 people reading your comic for free,
right? And
hoping maybe you get some ad revenue, maybe, or some Patreon or money or something. But, you know, they talk about all these webcomics that have quit, and you go through the stories, and it usually 95% of the time, either they couldn't afford to do it anymore, they died, they had health problems or whatever. It's a really...
A lot of them just went to mainstream too.
Yeah, a lot of them went to mainstream. It's just a really shitty business model, and you know, I don't know what else to say.
I just thought this was funny because it's so accurate.
It was very accurate, and that's what happened to us, and that's why we're selling our stuff from now on. So I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.